to you already this morning from the Advent service. We are in Isaiah 9, verses 6 and 7. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from this time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Today's Advent word is hope. And I got to wondering about it during the week. I thought, what does hope look like? How do we put a word picture with it? What does hope look like? We can say we've got hope for this or that. But hope's almost kind of like the wind. You can't really see the wind, but you can see the effects of the wind. So I was thinking about trying to think of word pictures for the word hope. And as it is the Christmas season, the first thing that comes to my mind as we were watching the Christmas story yesterday, and they were sitting on Santa Claus's lap, the little kids were. There was that hope in their eyes, that twinkle in their eyes. And if you've had kids that have sat on Santa's lap, you've watched them as they go up and they get there and they're all excited with hope as they spill out all of the things that they want for Christmas. It's exciting, isn't it? Those little kids that sat on Santa's lap, they are believing in something that we know is not real, but they have hope that on Christmas morning there's going to be gifts under the tree and that special gift will be there. I remember those days. Writing letters to Santa and sitting on his lap. He'd be up in the little town of Akron. I've had the joy of playing Santa a time or two. I don't know why they picked me though. Didn't even need a pillow. I've seen them little kids, and they get excited. They're hoping for something. I've watched the parents when they brought the little kids up there in hopes that Santa will forget this little Johnny or little Susie spews out things that maybe they shouldn't have. It's exciting to see little kids like that, isn't it? But I've seen hope in the sadness of adults' faces too. Those little. I've sat with those who are grieving because they're just hoping to get through the loss of a loved one. I've sat with people as jobs have been lost. They walk through the doors hoping for something to grasp onto. Sometimes we feel like hope is all we have. And we look for it in different places. We look at it hoping that a church can help us pay a bill. We hope that somebody will care enough to spend some time with us as we grieve. And as little kids, we hope for Santa to deliver happens in a variety of ways. Often, though, the things that we're putting our hope in are not stable and everlasting. They're not forever. We know Santa Claus doesn't exist. We know that when we count on friends and family to come alongside us and hope that they'll support us or help in whatever we're needing, illness or whatever it may be, that sometimes they never show. We hope in a job that sometimes goes belly up. We're always hoping for something. The dictionary says hope is this: a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. Synonyms of desire: wish, ambition, a plan, and design. It also says it's a feeling of trust. A feeling of trust. What do we put our trust into? A lot of times the things I've already said, and I've been watching the farmers this year and talking with many of them. They had a hope of a great crop and a good harvest, and things were looking really good, and they were excited. And now there's some of them are still farming and having struggles getting the crops out and the prices and everything else, and yet you still talk to them. And there's still a bit of that twinkle in their eye. They're still trusting they'll get their crops out. And they're still hoping that the weather will cooperate. And I got a lot of respect for the farmer, amen. A lot of us, we get up and we go to work and we come home. The farmer, he's on call all those hours. The weather affects: too much rain, not enough rain, too much sun, not enough sun. There's a lot of hope with the farmers around here. It's exciting to watch them. The Bible says hope is to trust in something. Today is our first. We've started the Advent here at the church a week early. We have 5 candles to light, the way we do it. And so we celebrate God a week early. We start with hope. And as we know that man and job and life can not always be trusted, we cannot put all of our hope in it. What we can put hope in is exactly what the prophets, what Isaiah was talking about here. It's about Jesus, amen. We trust in so many frugal things. But before Christ walked this earth, Isaiah gives us these words. For to us a child is born. To us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. For to us a child is born. It didn't say will be or might be, but is. With the promised hope of the Scriptures and of the Word. And today that's where we should be putting our hope, isn't it? I titled today's message, A Lasting Hope. What are we putting our hope into? It's the Christmas season. Kids are trusting Santa. Parents are trusting for a bonus at work. Farmers are hoping for the crops to come in. is this: the hope that we have here at Christmas, and we celebrate the birth of Jesus, is that it's not just during the Christmas season. Amen. We can have a hope all year round. Whenever those other struggles come, you hear me praying earlier? I said, Lord, we're going to pray for what's coming next week. Maybe it'll be a great week for some. Maybe for others it'll be chaos. I don't know. Tragedies. But what I do know is I can't put my hope in myself or in the job or my family that they will do their best. Don't get me wrong, but true hope for tomorrow started in the form of a baby in a manger, amen. For to us a child is given, the baby Jesus. Seems kind of backwards, doesn't it? Putting our trust in a child. But yet we know that this child grows up and he gives us these many descriptive words of Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, the Counselor, the Mighty God, an Everlasting Father, a Prince of Peace. You think of a counselor, you think of somebody filled with wisdom, knowledge, don't you? Here's a wonderful counselor. Somebody, not just anybody. Here is Jesus that we can go to. And He's got what we need. He knows what's coming. And to back that up, the Scripture says He's a mighty God, not just any God, but a mighty God. How many of you remember the cartoon Mighty Mouse? There's a few of you in here. Yeah. I don't know if it was reruns or the originals that I was watching. We'll just call it Mighty Mouse. But a little bitty mouse named Mighty Mouse, strong enough to, conquer the world. The word mighty, though, instills in us something great, doesn't it? When you hear the word mighty, you think of overcoming all that may come at them or whatever. You hear that word mighty, and Isaiah says He's a mighty God. Not just any God, but a mighty God. And that brings excitement. That says to me that He can accomplish and conquer and overcome anything that we deal with. Amen. There's so many times that we put hope in family and friends and we don't want to bother God or we think we can do it ourselves, and then sometimes we lose hope because those things don't work out. We wonder if there's anywhere we can go or any way we'll get through this, and the answer is yes. It started in Isaiah. It says, to us a child is given, and He will be a mighty God. This last week we were studying Bible study, and we were talking in the Scriptures about the power that brought Christ back from the dead is the same power that we have available to us as we walk this earth. We can call on God, and the very things, the very strength of God that brought Jesus back up out of that grave is the same power you have available to you. And to me that says, I'm in good hands. Amen. He's a mighty God. An everlasting Father. He's not here today and gone tomorrow. He was before us. He is with us. And He's all around us. We don't have to worry when we know God as our Savior. Dave and Renee said, if that plane crashes, no big deal. We're going to see Jesus. Amen. That's an everlasting Father because they know He's there. We don't have to wonder if He'll be there next week. We don't have to wonder if He's there in an hour. We don't have to wonder if He's there 30 years down the road. We don't have to worry about Him in eternity because He's everlasting. That's real hope, isn't it? That's real encouragement. And He's the Prince of Peace. So many people believe, and there is some truth to this, of peace without conflict and war. And we know that one day that will happen. As Christ comes to reign, will be the glories of heaven, and with Him the peace that will reign then. But He's also the peace of your heart. The Prince of Peace. When we are being told by the world that it can't be done, or to give up, or quit wasting your time, and we're falling apart on the outside and sometimes on the inside, that Prince of Peace, that baby in the manger comes along and He says, hey, Jesus says, be still your heart. And know that I'm an everlasting God, a mighty God. And I've got this. Let your first Advent season day, here today, the word of hope reign in you this week. Because it's going to get crazy. It's Christmas season. We know it happens. But don't lose hope. Trust in friends and family. But remember, they're not permanent. But what is everlasting is the hope in Christ. Amen. So this week when chaos knocks on the door, let God answer the door for you, okay? Let Him answer that door and deal with that unwanted salesman of chaos. An everlasting hope. Came to earth in the form of a baby and died on the cross for you and I. Trust in Him. Trust in Him. Trust in Him. Because He is a wonderful counselor, a mighty God, an everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. Amen. What a great song to finish with, talking about marching on, facing those battles. Let us not lose hope this week. Let us pray. Lord, as we come before you today, Lord, with a message of hope and songs praising you for what you are doing and how your kingdom is going forward in this, Lord, what a beautiful way to close this service as we've been doing our best, and we believe we're following your will to keep that glory moving on. Lord, be with us now as we go this week. Let us not be filled with fear, but with hope. Not hope itself or others, but hope in the trust that you are in control, and that you will see us through whatever it is we deal with. For you are an everlasting God, the Prince of Peace, a mighty God and a wonderful counselor. And we ask all these things in your holy name. Amen.